Okay. Um, I'm sorry, it's Ashwini, but how do you pronounce your last name? That's terrible that I don't know.
You got it right. You got it right in the first time at the GIS itself.
Okay, okay. So everybody knows you. I think it would be, I mean, I can obviously, how are you? How are things in Mumbai? How is everything going? You're,
Everything is fine, Ken. See, we are under a lockdown and it's just, you just have to have patience. There's nothing else. Different governments are trying different things. We too tried herd mentality, but Bombay is locked from all sides by the sea. It's a tiny island. It's got population which is almost, the same as Singapore or maybe even more, billions living in this tiny space. So it's difficult. It's really difficult to maintain that social distancing.
right.
So yes, we have cases, but we are much better off than most of the countries. And what I really miss is work. I have kept my clinic open 1 hour in the mornings.
All
I
right.
still work every day. I have emergency patients and I treat them. I come back a little saner, feeling a little better that I did something worthwhile. And then you come home and it's following webinars, giving webinars, and keeping yourself updated.
How do you feel about that? I mean, you love to meet people, you're very outgoing, you have a ton of energy, you love to teach, you love to learn, but all of a sudden you're behind a computer monitor. How does that make you feel?
Yes, it's strange, because see, giving lectures is all about connecting.
Mhm.
And now I'm at that stage where the people who come to listen to my lectures are the same age as my kids. So it's much more fun, Ken, teaching,
Mhm.
because it's like I can just point at that student and say that, hey, I know you haven't got it. And I'm not going ahead unless I know you've got it. So
Okay.
listen to me carefully. So I can't do that. I can't see the faces of the students on the webinar. So it does get a little strange. We don't know whether they have got it or no,
Mhm.
but at least the message is going across and you feel good when the messages come in saying, ma'am, we will attend your course and you explained it well. So it feels nice.
That's great. Actually, it's interesting that you bring that up. There was an article in the New York Times yesterday or the day before, where as effective as this is in terms of communicating information, it's actually not all that healthy for our psyche, because normally when we talk to people, we can see reactions, little micro reactions, if somebody's listening or they're not listening. We have filters that we have to adjust to because, you watch people's reaction. Are you stepping out of bounds? But because Facebook gets pixelated, because the things freezes, Zoom freezes, they're saying that it's throwing people off. It's not all that great because you kind of feel like you're like this. So we were talking before, not about what you do, but about how you stay energized. You are everywhere. Your work, your teaching, you obviously you have to learn in order to teach, right? And you have a family. You have 2 daughters. We're going to talk about in a second. But how do you stay energized? How do you not just go boom at the end of the day and fall on your bed?
See, Ken, I think, if you love what you're doing, you don't feel as though you've done a job and you've come back and, oh, you need to relax. You're on a constant high. So I look
Wow.
back, now it's been 26 years since I have been practicing, and you look back and you look at your friends in different professions and you feel that maybe I should have been that, maybe I should have been that. I don't think that way, because when I picture myself in somebody else's shoes, it just doesn't happen. I don't want to be anything but an oral surgeon. And
Well,
that's the reason when I come back, I mean, I am pleasantly tired. My husband used to say that, how can you be tired and how can you be pleasantly tired? I mean, that's my sentence that, yes, I'm pleasantly tired. If you don't work, you're tired. But if you work and you love your work, you're pleasantly tired and the sleep is much better. So it
so,
just
sorry, go
goes
ahead.
on.
Was there somebody in your family that directed you towards dentistry, being an oral surgeon?
Not really. See, I used to read books. I mean, reading has been a habit in my family since generations. And as a kid, I read a book. And in India, there is this culture of education. For parents, the number one priority is to get their kids educated, not just at bachelor's, at undergraduate, but postgraduate. They don't count their money. They count the amount of degrees what their children have and how well educated their child is, right? So it's like that's the culture I come from, and that's what my children were faced with. That's what I was faced with, that get the best education. And in my generation, the previous generation, STEM was the best option. You take engineering or the medicine. Liberal arts and commerce and all came now.
Yeah.
So at that time, it was either be an engineer or be a doctor. I didn't like maths. I wanted to be a doctor. Then I read a book about your American plastic surgeon, Dr. Elizabeth Morgan, Give the Lady a Knife. And I read that when I was about 7, 8. In fact, the copy of that book, my daughter just found out at my mom's place about 6 months back. And then she believed my story. Otherwise, she used to think that her mom is just spinning her one. So that was the truth. But I actually read that book and I said, I want to be a doctor. Now, here in India, because the culture of education and each and every child is so superbly educated, the competition is really high. For every 1 mark, there are about 700 to 800 students vying for that one seat in a medical or dental school. So I missed my medical school admission by 1 mark. So the next best choice was dental school. So I got into dental school and I was like feeling really sad that, I wanted to be a surgeon, but I have got to be a dentist because of that 1 mark less. And when I entered dental school, the first thing, that's when I saw that our dentistry has 8 branches. I wasn't even aware dentistry had 8 branches. Mm-hmm. And I read oral and maxillofacial surgery. So that's before I paid the fees. I told my mom, who was with me, that I'm going to become an oral and maxillofacial surgeon. So it was from day one, Ken, that I wanted to do surgery. And that was what my focus was, to get the best marks in surgery, top oral surgery at the undergraduate level, get the postgraduate seat, do well. And because that's all that I had dreamt of, right, as a kid. I mean, it was my dream come true. When I started operating, I still remember my first case in my postgraduate when my boss sent me to do one simple abscess drainage. I had assisted so many, and in fact, I told Zib Simon this. I had assisted so many, I had read up so much. I went in, and my first case, the incision, the nurse is telling me, just wait till the teacher gets in. He'll tell you where to mark the incision with a sketch pen. But before the teacher walked into the OT, I had taken the incision, I had, nicked it, I had started draining the pus out because I had rehearsed it so much in my mind that finally when I got to do it, it was like second nature to me. And that's how it is. And that's what I tell my students, that it's only practice what gets you there. Keep reading, keep dreaming of it. Your hand should be natural on the patient. It should be as though you have done that procedure many times before.
Right. Interesting. I'm curious. Obviously you strive for excellence, but do you have to compete in a man's world in India? Does that present complications?
Yes, there is. But I'm not a feminist. I am a feminist in a good sense. Okay. In a good sense, as in, I realize that as a woman, I have got some positive qualities which men might lack, and that I feel is humility and compassion. The patients empathize with me, I empathize with the patients. Like the females, of course, the female patients prefer a female doctor. The males in the beginning, when I started my practice, I actually had patients go away from me saying that, oh, she wouldn't have the strength. And then I had to, just prove yourself by work. Yeah. Just prove yourself. Even the doctors wouldn't refer patients to me. So I've had that struggle, Ken. But that doesn't mean that you dress up like a man to show them you're equal to a man. Or that doesn't mean you start talking like a man to show them that you're as good as a man. I mean, you can just show them by your work, by your sympathy, by your empathy, and by your sincerity. Now, if you use housework, or if you use your motherhood, or if you use these as excuses to shirk work, then what's going to happen is that we as ladies are going to give ourselves a bad name by the same men, right? Because they're going to say that, oh, for her, her career is second nature.
Mm-hmm.
So be honest with them upfront. Prioritize according to the situation. Sometimes your family can wait. Sometimes your patients can wait. So be just honest in your approach, and your feminism is respected. And then a point comes, the first 5 years go into the men, having their groups, and the men escorting you to their wives, the male oral surgeons, and saying, fine, you sit with them and you can chat. We are talking the men's talk.
Oh,
Something
right.
like that. And then when they realize that she's really sincere about her work, it's not that she's practicing as a pastime or something to fill her time. And then after 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, you're invited as a part of the panel discussions. You're taken as one of them. So it's just your work what speaks for you.
Right, right.
Nothing else.
So I'm interested. I'm over your left shoulder, behind you on your left. There's a really interesting abstract painting of a woman holding flowers.
That's Krishna and Radha. I'll tilt it so you can see it better.
Yeah. Who is it?
Yeah, that's Indian god, it's mythology, Krishna and Radha. And that's one of we are extremely spiritual, and we believe in God, and we believe in superpower, and we have stories around it. So that's how it is. And I think that helps us. That helps us stay positive. That helps us stay hopeful. And that also, I feel brings that compassion in our practice, the hope in our practice. We are not cut and dry. I mean, there is that super being somewhere which is going to play a big role in the healing of the patient.
So what is this? How does this picture speak to you? I mean, I appreciate their gods, it's spiritual, but how does it speak to you? You're hanging it behind where you work. This is your computer, you do your work. How does this speak?
This is my home right now, and this is a story about Krishna, the male god, and Radha. It's called his consort, and he's playing the flute, and they are embracing each other, and it's a very romantic, and it's a very well-drawn painting. So God in different forms, in different pictures,
right,
surrounding you, it always makes you feel hopeful. It gives you positive energy, and it always reminds you that there's somebody above you who's controlling everything.
Interesting.
So stay humble.
To stay humble. I'm curious. I've never really asked this question. You're wearing a sari, right? This is traditional dress.
Yes.
Everybody has, the colors are different. Like, you're wearing, I guess that's fuchsia. Does that mean something? Does the color mean something?
No, we as such love colors. India's got lots of festivals. India is a land of colors. Every different state has a different type of sari, different type of a dress code, and we are proud of it. I mean, it's done. The brighter colors show celebrations. The darker colors or the lighter colors show mourning. So brighter the color, it's a celebratory mood. So I wore this. I'm celebrating that you found it fit to interview me.
Well, listen, I'm honored. I mean, for me, it's like Henriette, Raquel, and more of it. I mean, this is amazing.
Talking of Dr. Henriette, she is my mentor. Dr. Henriette, Dr. Delia, they are my mentors. I mean, they're such strong ladies. Dr. Henriette was the first lady I met she invited me for the Leading Ladies of Dentistry program in Baden.
Right.
And that's where I met Dr. Delia of Divas in Dentistry. And
Right.
it was a wonderful meeting. And then I met Dr. Paul, and I realized that it's a common language amongst female professionals across the world. We speak a common language. We are
Okay.
passionate about our work. We want to stay united. We are trying to create a mark, and we are multitasking because wherever we go, I realized that, it's not just in India, but elsewhere also, people like me, ladies like me, are having multiple tasking jobs. They want their kids to do well. They want to keep their house well.
Yep.
They want to maintain themselves, and they want to excel in their work. So that gave me more energy and more belief that I am on the right track. What I'm doing is right. And in fact, that spurred me on to start taking courses and teaching others clinical oral surgery. Till then, I believe, Ken, what goes around comes around. So I was doing charity through a charitable hospital.
I see that.
Really
Yeah.
started teaching.
You were, where is it? You were doing social service is certainly one of the things that you described. The Rotary International in India, what does that do? Does it look after underprivileged or poor people?
Yes. I have been associated with 2 hospitals which treat people for free. And these are Satya Sai Baba Trust, and there's a trust in Chennai. And I go there and we do pro bono cases. And it's a wonderful, wonderful feeling because I don't know, it's about the spirituality or what it is, but I am a very spiritual person. And I really believe that the more I give, because as a doctor, whatever I do, whatever you and me we do, it reaches the consumer directly. It's not like a corporate. I mean, your friend might be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company and he gives $100 billion for charity, but he doesn't see the person it's reaching. He's given it to organization.
Right.
But you do a pro bono case. The person says, thanks to you. The person blesses your family and goes away. And you have made a difference in that specific person's life. So that's the advantage our profession has. And I really find it very fruitful, very gratifying when I do pro bono work.
That's beautiful. You travel to Chennai. So how far is it from Mumbai to Chennai to go?
It's 2 hours flight distance.
Uh-huh.
And then from the airport, it's a 3-hour drive to the village, which has the charitable clinic.
So how often do you go?
I go once in 3 months.
Once every 3 months.
3 months. So I stay the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And in a day, I will finish about 24 disinfection cases, 24 to 30 disinfection cases. They are all lined up. We have endodontists, we have got orthodontists, we have got 6 chairs, and it's like a hospital. All the cases are lined up. We do pro bono work and we come back.
That's
and we go by rotation.
There was, for the life of me, I can't remember his last name, but there was a doctor in Chennai who opened an implant clinic, which must be, I don't know, 15 years ago. His name was Nitish.
Oh yes, Nitish Surathu.
There you go. There you go.
He's in New Zealand right now.
He's what?
He's in New Zealand. He migrated to New Zealand.
Oh, no kidding. Wow, I haven't, we lost touch, but he built an educational institute in Chennai. It was like modern 15 years ago, right? Like,
yes.
So
I learned a course for him. I learned nerve lateralization from him.
Did you?
Yes.
That's amazing. Small world. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
He was a very talkative, a great teacher.
He was ahead of his time, right? Like his clinic that he set up was just like first class, cutting edge. And this is before implants really kind of kicked in.
Absolutely. 15 years back, 20 years back, he was way ahead of his time. He was teaching us sinus lifts and lateralization and all that when it wasn't the talk of the town. And he was extremely gifted, and he actually made us work on patients.
Nice. That was an interesting man. You talked about Henriette. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I was really I've never met her, and it was like the energy just came off the screen. I was like, oh my God. But she does something that you do. She is, she exercises phenomenal. Like that's her life. That's her passion. She obviously goes out with her daughter. She enjoys it. But you were saying before, that's an essential component of your life. If you weren't able to enjoy the things that you do that are outside dentistry that give you that they're the fuel for your engine, things would be very different. Can you talk about that for a moment?
Yeah, see, exercising sort of, it just builds up your endorphins or it just builds up your adrenaline. I don't know how to put it, but it's your alone time. I'm not a person for group coaching or group classes. So I don't like going to the gym or to a Zumba class or something like that, because I don't want to talk to other people. I want to exercise, I want to run, I want to swim, I want to do these things on my own.
Right.
So when I'm on my own, I'll be thinking about the day, I'll be planning my day, I'll be praying, I'll be chanting. It's my me time. And when I come back, I am satisfied with the conversation I had with myself. And then I'm ready to treat my patients, to handle whatever the house wants, to handle whatever everybody wants.
So,
And
sorry, go ahead.
Really keeps you alert. I feel that's the word. You don't feel lethargic, neither about learning nor about teaching, or it builds your stamina. So you're as fresh as you are talking to the last patient of the day as you are at 10 a.m. talking to the first patient of the day.
But you also bracket it. You get up in the morning, you're ready for the day, but you go for a 5-mile run. You finish your day, you go to the club and you swim, and then you go have your dinner. So you energize your day at the beginning, you energize your body at night so that you can sleep well. So this is a very big part of your life. Your energy levels are always high. What happens if you're traveling? What do you do if you're traveling and you kind of
when I
train?
Yeah,
What do you
become
do?
a problem, but every hotel has a pool, so I'll just swim twice a day.
Okay.
Or when I go to visit my daughter, I will run. So there is some avenue, and if we as a family like traveling, so our travels are usually always packed with some excursion, as in go for a hike, or go for a long walk, or go for, say you go to South Africa, you just go for a shark finding mission. Or do
Sorry, what? Shark finding? Did you say shark
diving? Yes, you go in a cage in South Africa. We did that. We went down in a cage in the ocean. We had the sharks swimming around us, and then we came up. So as a family, we are very much physical exercise and physical oriented.
That's
and
amazing.
I think that's very important.
So can you talk to me? You have a 22-year-old daughter, which I can't believe, and a younger daughter. Now, the older one decided that dentistry was not for her. She was very bright in math. And so she is now an engineer, right? She's in school still, or she's actually practicing?
She's working. She's working with a startup, and she's making lung oxygenators in Germany, Aachen in Germany.
She's making
lung oxygenators. She's in a biomedical startup.
Ah, okay.
Designing lung oxygenators.
And where is she in Germany? What part of Germany?
Aachen, which is about 2 hours away from Frankfurt.
Wow. So biomedical engineering, that's amazing.
I miss her.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yes, definitely. My younger daughter is there with me right now, but she's also got admission into masters at Medils and at Columbia. So let's see, she leaves us next year.
Oh my God. They're abandoning you. You're yes. What do they call empty nesters? Holy cow. But she's going to journalism, right? She's forget the sciences, forget the engineering. She's a journalist.
She's into journalism.
Fantastic. You're saying when she was young,
she used to write poems.
She used to write poems.
She used to write poems, and on Poet Hunter, she's put them up on the website also, Poet Hunter. And yeah, she's good at writing, and it's great that she found what she's good at.
Does she still write, like when you say journalism?
She writes. She's right now working for a magazine, and she writes beautiful articles. writes.
Really? Isn't that exciting?
Really
Well,
writes well.
I'm guessing that now you were talking about chanting and praying. So, can you talk about what you do? But I assume, is it categorized as religious or it's just part of life?
Uh, it's how you put it, Ken. See, we are a religious, Indians as such are religious. But religion can be, all right, you can practice without being fanatic about it, right?
Mhm.
You can practice without believing in rituals, or you can believe in rituals and you can practice. Like
Okay.
within my own family, my husband and my daughters, they believe in God, but they say that, all right, we know He's there, and yes, I know we will do good and He'll bless us. While I am a little more into rituals, and for me, chanting means literally invoking Him. So when I'm jogging, I will be chanting a God's name or a mantra or whatever brings me peace. It can be
Mhm.
different uh, phrases, different mantras. So it's really different. See, that's what gets me peace. That's what helps me focus.
Right.
While for different people in the same family, it may be different things, but the ultimate goal is the same.
Interesting. Um, this all begins somewhere, Ashwini. It just all begins somewhere.
Yes,
So you
I
go
think
from,
it begins
what's
with the
that?
values it begins with the values what your parents give you.
So you start off at, was it, nobody in your family was a dentist, right? You talked about
Nobody.
nobody.
No.
So can we go from, you're in school, you want to be a doctor, somehow, the sheer numbers of people who want the one space in the medical school is immense. So you start off in school, you want to be a doctor, that doesn't work itself out. And so you go from, that's your story. So you start off as a doctor, you become a dentist by virtue of what is essentially fate, circumstance, whatever it
Yes.
is. And you've got 25 years of practice, and that brings you to now. So it's a story that I would imagine most people would love to hear. So the room is yours, as they say. The floor is yours, I guess.
Ken, so I have enjoyed my journey. I've really enjoyed my journey. And I feel dentistry is a great profession for females because you can't, forget reality. Reality is that we are giving birth to our children. We are going to be that much more attached to the kids, right? Just because we gave them birth and they need us, and we'll be bringing them up, right? Of course, fathers pitch in 50%, all that is absolutely true, but there is that much difference where we have to do our bit more, just for the fact of our gender.
Mhm.
So we have to multitask. So we have to keep ourselves mentally and physically strong. And that you can only do by seeking inspiration from your family members, which may be your parents, your mom, your aunts, your grandmoms, or it can be your friends, it can be your colleagues. You just have to seek inspiration, you have to learn from them, and you have to keep walking. I think keep walking is the only way to go ahead. You stop midway in your career, or you stop to take a pause, and then the lethargy gets in and you start feeling, oh, it's okay if I don't do that. But then 20 years down the line, you end up regretting it. Maybe I
Right,
should have not given up at that time.
right.
That's what I see with many females. So with the courses I take, I also put in my last 3 4 slides are always directed towards the female students,
Good,
that it's
good.
you can have it all. Everyone, the novels and the magazines and arguments and everything is about the struggle a woman faces to make it in a man's world, and she can never have it all. So it's how you tackle it. Lose the battles to win the war. You
Yes,
don't have to win
absolutely.
every battle.
Mhm.
Just lose some of them to win the war. Prioritize differently. Every day should hold a different priority. Don't be so hard on yourself, or don't have too hard rules that this is it. Don't neglect any aspect for the sake of the others. Balance it out. And I tell the girls that change the definition of all. A should stand for ambition. Don't ever give up working. L should stand for love yourself. Because if you know your worth, it's only then will others take you seriously. Otherwise, then people walk all over you. So love yourself, love your profession, love your family. All these three should form a balance. Nobody is bigger than the other.
Yeah.
And last is learn. Never ever think you have learnt it all. Like I learned a lot from Delia. I mean, I entered the Divas in Dentistry organization. I met Raquel, I met Snezna, I met Sandra, I met Rita, I met Komal, I met everybody, Priscilla. And that's when I realized that the language spoken by us all across different countries is the same. If they can do it, I can do it. If I can do it, they can do it.
Right.
So last L is learn. Learn to let go of negativity. Learn a positive thing every day.
Right.
And keep learning something new every year.
That's fabulous. That's fabulous. But it wasn't like that for you at the beginning. You graduated. You were a woman in what is truly a male-dominated society, but you're an accomplished surgeon, very talented. You're passionate about trauma and stuff like that, helping people, which we'll address in a bit. But you don't find acceptance. You graduate, you're passionate, you aspire to excellence, but all of a sudden the wall comes up, right? It's not so easy for you to do what you want. Can you describe what went on in those days?
In those days, Ken, there were times when referring doctors used to call me up and used to say, oh, we are referring a patient. And I used to go to my clinic and I used to wait for that patient, and the patient never turned up. And the referring doctor used to say that, oh, I referred my patient to him, a senior male surgeon. Because, so I used to say, why? Oh, it wasn't your cup of tea. So, you know, I could have taken two ways. I could have fought with the doctor and I would have behaved like a man to say that, no, I am worth that case or worth that patient. Or I could have said, fine, sir, it's your decision. Go on working, do the cases, do the patients which come to you well. And your best reward is 2 years later, the same doctor starts referring all his patients to you. Right. Because word of mouth has got around. And the patients actually tell that doctor, oh, we have heard Dr. Ashwini's hands are very gentle. We want to go to her and not to somebody we don't know. He may be senior, but we want to go to Dr. Ashwini. So it's just been sincere hard work and sacrificing probably some things which others might feel important. Say maybe girls' nights out, or having weekends off, or just sitting doing nothing, or taking days off just to go shopping. But that wasn't important to me. I loved my work. So it's just been your sincerity which sort of proves your mettle 5 years, 6 years later. So the key is in not losing patience. I did face segregation. I did face discrimination. I did face all that. I could have given it all up and I would have said, oh, to heck with the referring doctors. They don't trust me because I'm a lady. Let me just do my general practice and let me work on walk-in patients. Let me not depend on doctors who prefer male doctors over me. But the key here is to just dig in your heels, dig in your stilettos. Don't wear head. Dig in your stilettos.
Laboutins, right?
Yes, dig in your stilettos and keep working, keep doing. Eventually, word of mouth does spread and your work is recognized.
You said something that I found unsettling. When you used to go to conferences, or there would be, some sort of whatever it was, a gala, you wanted to talk to the men, but that didn't happen. So they would kind of relegate you to the
Yes,
wives.
to the wife's table, and they used to say, all right, talk to her. And then the conversation used to be, oh, so which school does your child go, and how difficult the studies are, and how do you get them to study, and all that.
Mhm.
But that changed over the years. I used to find it quite amusing. But again, over there, you have to realize that it's the upbringing is the same all across the world, right? So you can't talk like a man, or you can't be like a man. You are doing the motherly jobs too. So I used to get along well with the wives. I used to talk to them about their professions, about their household, jobs. I used to empathize with them. And then again, word of mouth used to go to their own husbands that, oh, she's so humble. She's
All
your colleague.
right.
But she's so
Okay.
humble. I mean, she talked to me and she knew everything about what her children are doing. She knew what's happening in her house. So I had a choice there also. I either stock out, I act very snobbish with the wives,
Mhm.
telling them that, look, I am actually your husband's colleague and I'm not here to talk something else with you. So I had a choice. So you basically empathize with the person and you just be sincere. You are given lemons, make
Lemonade. All
tequila,
right.
make tequila and make a tequila sunrise, not just lemon.
So I'm curious. You are literally one of the most grounded people I've ever met. I mean, you have an inner core that's solid, like a rock. Nothing obviously phases you. You get, like you say, somebody gives you lemon, you make tequila lemonade, whatever it is. Is that your mom? Was that your mom that taught you this? Your mom, your dad? How did you come to this time in your life?
My parents, yes, my parents, my grandmom, I mean, my maternal grandmother in 40s used to invest in stocks and all that. Yeah, I mean, so I come from a family of strong females. So you read books, you look up to the females in your family, and that's what you follow. And here's where I really, really wish that with daughters as they grow up, you do have the usual tussles which a mom and daughter has. But I really wish that my girls appreciate what their mom has done,
Right.
and they realize the value of hard work too.
It's amazing. Do your girls have significant others? Like,
Both of them, no, not at present. At least it hasn't come to me yet.
okay. I want to talk about your courses. I see you share general surgery to a lot of clinicians. So how did all this start? I mean, you're trying to bring a level of competence to a very large swath of people. What was the motivation to do that?
See, after about, say, 20 years of practice or so, I had assistants coming to me and saying that, ma'am, we've heard from patients that you do this work, you do that work, and can we, can we be observers in your clinic? And I used to keep talking to them,
Mhm.
and I taught my children till high school myself. I mean, later on, they of course took extra classes and all that. But till high school, I taught them myself. So I had that knack for teaching. And when I used to talk to the observers in my clinic, the observers used to tell me, ma'am, you explain so well. Why don't you start classes? And by then, the girls had finished high school. They had started full-time college, full-day college. So I had time on my hands. Because I had time on my hands, I said, all right, let me start teaching. So I was very clear, Ken, that practice takes 1/3 of my time. Family takes 1/3 of my time. Me, myself, takes 1/3 of my time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So teaching, I would not have, let me tell you selfishly, I would not have gone into teaching if it would have eaten into my family time.
Okay.
It was only after my children grew up, both my daughters grew up, and I had the weekends free after they left house, I started teaching, holding courses, traveling so much.
Yeah.
And that was a completely different experience because I wasn't talking theory to my students. I was talking all about my failures, all about my successes, and giving clinical experiences. And they come and say, but ma'am, this is not what we read in the textbook, or this is not what we were taught, or on phantom heads we did it differently. So I tell them that, look guys, this is what works. So you do what I'm telling you to do. I'm there to hold your hand. These are clinical tricks, just do them. And then one thing led to another, one batch led to another batch, and now it's a huge family. My course is called Fundamentals of Oral Surgery, and I teach everything that can be safely done in a dental clinic. Obviously, I don't teach them orthodontic surgeries or trauma or cyst or anything. I teach them because for that, you need to do post-graduation.
Right.
So I don't teach them anything what will get them into trouble legally. I teach them what it is their basic job to do, what I feel it is their moral duty to do. A dentoalveolar fracture walks into their clinic, they should be able to treat that patient, that back accident. And it's absolutely safe for a BDS person to do a dentoalveolar fracture. So I teach everything from disinfections to dentoalveolar abscess drainage, everything to the students. They work on pig jaws, and it's extremely gratifying when the students come and say that, ma'am, I could do this, and my practice has increased, and my confidence has increased.
Yes.
That's what gives you joy. You know, the other day I went to Chennai to attend the orthodontic course myself, and a postgraduate student came, Ken, to meet me, and he said that, ma'am, do you remember me? I said, I've seen you somewhere. He said that 5 years ago, I had come to you to ask whether oral surgery was a great profession. And you told me that's the best profession. So here I am doing my post-graduation. And I'm thankful to you. So that's what sort of pushes you to give your best more and more.
Can I ask you a question? They call you ma'am, not doctor? What is that?
In India, like Sandeep must have told me, you utmost respect is given to the teachers.
Okay.
So patients will call me doctor, the students will call me ma'am, or they will call you sir.
Okay. That's interesting.
That's how it is.
So two things I want to talk about. One is your charity work. I want you to talk about that. But your primary interest, as you say, is trauma. Trauma somehow.
Yes.
I'm not going to say it excites you, because being excited about trauma is a little strange.
One thing about trauma, in fact, sorry to interrupt you, but when I do plating really well and I've really repaired a person's mandible or maxilla well, I come home and I tell my family that, you know what, I did a beautiful fracture today. And my 3 family members, being non-doctors, they don't realize it, and they'll turn up their faces and they'll say, Mom, that poor guy had a fracture, and how can you call it you did a beautiful fracture? The poor guy. So I have to explain it to them that, you know, from a technical point of view, I'm calling it a beautiful fracture, but yes, it was an unfortunate case which that guy suffered. So it's a very funny situation.
Do you, when you say trauma,
look at a patient with more sympathy.
Is this trauma as in car accident, falls, or do you also do car
accidents, bike accidents, construction site accidents?
Do you do oncologic surgery? Do you do like tumor surgery or anything like that?
Yes, I do cyst enucleation. I do amyloblastoma, resection, reconstruction by prefibula graft, placement of implants over there. So I am more into pathology and more into trauma, less into orthodontic.
Interesting.
And I love it.
You love it.
It's gratifying. It's like gratifying. I mean, trauma is so unfortunate. Trauma shouldn't be happening.
it was, I spoke yesterday with Melvin Maninki. Melvin lectures, but he's like, you know, it was interesting. His family's important to him. He has an older son. I think he was 14. He has a 5-year-old daughter, 4-year-old daughter, and a 1-year-old daughter. So I saw that he had been asked to lecture at various places around the world, Perth, for example. And he went, he was, you know, BioHorizon supported him. But he kind of was very deferential. Well, you know, I don't publish. I kind of do my thing. This is what I am. But it was interesting because he is into stem cells from mesenchymal cells from fat and bone. So it's like, okay, that's not, you know, that, you know, he has to take, you know, go into the iliac crest and draw from there. But he also started talking about, he mentioned that he was very much into orthognathic surgery. So unfortunately, that kind of came at the end because it was a very deferential, he wasn't like, you know, it wasn't like a massive ego. But when he talked about it at the end, you could almost feel his energy level, like boom, right? And so he started talking about stents and how you do it, and it was like fascinating. So when you do your work, I mean, you're talking trauma. This is serious business, right? This isn't taking out wisdom teeth, right? How much digital involvement is there for you to access in your practice or in the hospitals in terms of planning and when you have to?
There
You
is
know,
a planning.
so what's your take on how digital dentistry is going to change what you do as an oral surgeon?
Definitely, it's been a change for the better, and it was. It just has to be more accessible, more cheaper, and I love the point which Dr. Henriette made about if the scanners could be given by the companies on an EMI basis, that we make the payments by monthly installments.
Yes.
It should be made available to more dentists.
Yep.
Right?
Yep, for sure.
So I love digital technology, and I really take that help in planning where the plates are going to come, how reconstruction is going to be done, and the shape of the plates, the post-operative profile. All that really helps a lot.
Do you work with plastic surgeons?
I do work where reconstruction is to be taken. So the free fibula graft is taken by the plastic surgeon.
Do you do that on your own at all? Is that something you've aspired to?
In the general anesthesia. All trauma cases, all pathology cases are done in a hospital under general anesthesia.
Do you do any research at all? Have you had an opportunity to do research in any way?
Not really. Honestly, not really. Though I have done so many cases, I have yet to document them, and that's next on my agenda.
That's next. That's next.
A good associate to document them. In fact, I just got my fellowship to the Glasgow College of Surgeons.
Yeah, I saw that.
Glasgow.
So what does that provide you? Yeah, you're in the Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons in Glasgow. So what does that provide you? I mean, obviously it's a very, just this year, 2020, right?
Yes, I got it this year.
So what does it afford you? I mean, Glasgow, you're in Mumbai, that's quite the distance. So,
but it gives me an opportunity to learn better surgery. I will be going to Glasgow as an observer. I would be taking part in their conferences. I would be invited as a speaker. Plus, whatever courses they offer, I am, I'm a part of it. I can choose to take that rather than go the long way by giving exams or whatever. So I can do that. And this comes only after you have shown them a particular body of work.
Okay.
So my next agenda is to go there and learn orthognathic.
Oh, okay. So that's the next step. You're going to do orthognathic surgery. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to learn how to do advancements and Laforts and all that kind of lovely stuff.
Lafort was my thesis topic, but I just never got to do it more in my private practice. Lafort 1 was my post-graduation thesis topic.
No way.
So I do cervical splits, and I do Lafort 1 fractures, traumas. Okay. But I have to do more of orthognathic. So the Royal College of Surgeons is my gateway to learning more orthognathic surgery.
Interesting. I do want to talk. I mean, before we talk about the future based on post-COVID, I'm just looking where you've lectured. I mean, Thailand, and where were you? San Francisco, South Korea, Jaipur, different parts. I mean, India is huge, right? And so I know that, like as Henriette said, she started doing this early on. Do you feel that social media has helped you in terms of?
Yes, it has. It has, Ken, because I post my cases there. I keep in touch with my followers, and social media has played a huge role. Otherwise, it used to be only by published articles. I mean, in my generation, when I was a postgraduate student and an early dentist, there was no Facebook. So the
Mhm.
only way you would know that this guy is really good in TMJ is by reading his articles or reading his textbook. But now I am aware of who's good in what
Mhm.
just by their posts on social media.
Right.
Similarly, Facebook has really helped me reach out to more people, to make myself known to more people. But it should just be used honestly, because there are many people out there actually believing you, actually following you. So I think it has to be used very honestly.
Do they come to you? Do you get like all kinds of communication asking
Oh, yes, they
invitations?
do.
Yeah.
They do. For my courses, they will approach me. So I get more students for my courses. I get observers. I gain friends through social media.
Sure, for sure.
All that is definitely there.
That's fantastic. I would like to ask you, things have obviously changed dramatically. You're still in lockdown. I just got a message from Chuck Swimmer from Spot that he's going back to work next week. He's in Philadelphia, someplace in Pennsylvania, and he's going back to work. So I don't know. I mean, how much is, hopefully, I mean, with dentists, and they're going to have to reduce the numbers and PPE. What's going to happen after all of this? People are talking, some are talking about hands-on workshops with virtual reality, augmented reality. I think instead of just these massive congresses that are overwhelming, I think it'll obviously be very focused webinars. What's gonna happen in your life after COVID?
See, after COVID, things will be moving very slowly. We'll be, of course, because being dentists and we working close to the oral cavity through which the disease spreads so much faster, we
Mhm.
have to be more careful about ourselves, and we have to make sure that there is no patient to patient transmission too. So we'll be more cautious in our approach. That is number one. Where practice is concerned, taking a COVID positive. Earlier it was HIV. Oh, take a HIV test before operating on the patient.
Right.
Now it's going to be a take a COVID test before operating on the patient. That's just going to be the new norm. But I don't think as surgeons or as dentists or as doctors, we have taken the Hippocrates oath. So we should not shy away from doing our duty. We should just protect ourselves a little better with all the PPEs and with all the equipments. But we should be out there on the field treating the people, because that's what we were trained to do and that's what we promised we would do. Where teaching is concerned, yes, I don't think there would be any congresses of 1,000 people and 1,500 meetings for the next 1 year at least. But after a year or so, I think it will die down the fear and things will be back to normal, because one-on-one interaction is something else altogether. And especially in surgery, where you can't learn on models. You have to learn on cadavers, or you have to learn on an animal jaw, or you have to observe your mentor doing the surgery himself. So maybe I can video telecast my surgery, but actually being in the same operation theater and seeing the person do it with the small nicks and carrying on a conversation with the person at the same time is a different thing altogether. So maybe the theory can be taught virtually, but after about 6 to 8 months, hopefully things should be in a better condition and we can only improve our methods of teaching.
So so at the end of the day, do you think if you were using, if you structured your courses so that there was preliminary work, you did the webinars, you gave them access to background material, videos of procedures, so you created this sort of ecosystem of education using
Yes.
all forms of media, and then go into the hands-on. Is that going to change the way you teach, do you think? I mean, you're going to be able to give more information?
I will be able to give more information in a safer way, and there would be a continuous communication going on. Yes, the quality of teaching will improve. And that's how it has been over the years. Something comes up with necessity is the mother of invention, and we wouldn't have probably looked at, harnessing the digital energy so fast had it not been because of the COVID scare.
You're right. I think, they say, what is it? Zoom. If your grandmother, is your grandmother still alive? Is she still around? Your grandma?
She passed away.
So if she were alive, she probably would have bought Zoom stock before everything went crazy.
Yeah. She would have, definitely.
She would have bought Zoom stock. Yeah. So look, okay. Hopefully there's a lot of younger practitioners watching. I mean, whether they're watching live or they record it, I mean, I have no idea how many people are watching. However, that being said, you have one thing to convey. You've got one thing that you want to say to clinicians in general, to female clinicians specifically. What would that be?
Live to learn, learn to teach.
Okay. All right. I love it.
And change the definition of all. All is not monetary benefits.
Yeah.
All is don't let go of your ambition, love yourself, learn.
You're a very special individual, Ashwini. I've seen your cases, I've seen your posts, but it's the first time I've ever had a chance to talk to you. You're amazing. You're quite something.
Thank you, Ken.
You really are you're very special.
I think I'm the best in others.
Well, you are very.
I remember I had a nice conversation with you at the trade fair at the GIS summit too.
Right. But that's a busy time, and everybody's they're meeting this one and that one. But this was very special, Ashwini. I really special. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
I feel lighter. My heart, I feel lighter in myself just having talked to you. I think that's very cool. Have yourself a wonderful day. Say hi to your husband. Say hi to your children, and give them a big kiss, because obviously, trust me, my children live in the United States. So we talk on Messenger. I don't see them face to face very often. So enjoy them now, because when the little one leaves, it's a whole different world, Mom. You're going to have a different perspective. Okay. Love you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks. Have a good day. Be well.
You too.